How many vampire slides are you going to present in your next presentation? A vampire slide is a slide with so much data that's so busy when you flash it up, it sucks the enthusiasm right out of the room. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you 4 tips on how you can prevent death by PowerPoint. And this one may ruffle some feathers. PowerPoint presentation should help reinforce your point. It shouldn't narrate your entire story. Your slides should be concise, visually engaging, and help drive a key message home, not show a lot of data in hopes that your audience can pick out the most important piece and remember it. What you're saying should be more important than what's on your slides. You want your audience paying attention to you, not reading off your slides. If you pitch a slide like this one, I can assure you that your audience will forget 90% in the next 30 seconds. That's what the data suggests. Now, is all of this data important? Absolutely. Doesn't mean we don't present it. We just have to present it in a better and more compelling way so that our audience walks away with that one tight message that they can remember and that's going to compel them to take action. Tip number 1, create emotional investment in your audience. Inject suspense, empathy, humor, all of which get your audience in the mood to say yes. Suspense grabs their focus. Empathy softens them up. And humor makes them drop their walls. Tip number 2, 1 message per slide. Less is more. We all have similar memories, similar working memories. Imagine that you're at a party and you're having a conversation with someone and you hear your name out of your right ear on the other side of the room. Now you're paying attention to that conversation. You're also trying to pay attention to the person that you're talking with. You can't focus. There's more than one thing going on at once. When we have slides that are super busy with more than one message, that's exactly what we do for our audience. Think about the last non-Southwest flight you took. How many times did you check your seat assignment from the time the boarding agent said it's time to board to the time your booty hit the seat? 6 times is the average. That's our memory. We don't have different working memories for PowerPoint. Now, a good rule of thumb is 3 minutes per slide. So if you have a 30-minute meeting and you have more than 10 slides, chances are you got a couple of vampire slides in there or you're trying to put out too much information. Make it 2 meetings or reduce the number of slides that you have. Now, this may ruffle your feathers, but here's an example of a potential vampire slide. Look familiar? There's a lot going on in this slide. There's a lot of messages. There's a lot of data points. Right? What is the one thing we want our customer to walk away with from this slide? 1 message per slide. Tip number 3, size and contrast. When we open our eyes, we see 4 things. We see movement, we see signaling colors, we see contrast between objects, and we see large objects. Our eyes are drawn to the most important and most of the time biggest thing in the direction that we're looking. Now, I've taken that 1 point on that previous slide and I've added some bullet points and I've added an image to tighten up the slide. Now I'm going to use size to drive it home just a little bit further to make sure the most important things pop out on that slide. Now to that size, I'm going to add contrast and animation so that I can control the focus of my audience. I prefer a dark background with lighter text. I think if we have a white background with darker text, it draws attention to our slides. We want the attention on us in the room. We're the speaker. We're delivering the story. So I prefer a darker background. So watch how I use contrast and animation to drive focus on where I want the person's eyes to be on the slide. And finally, tip number 4, objects. What is the right number of objects to have on a slide? Now, to prove this point, I'm going to show you a slide with some yellow dots. I want you to count the yellow dots on the slide. Go. Now, there's 10 yellow dots on that slide. It takes the average person almost 3 seconds to count those. It takes cognitive effort to count those dots. Now, while you're counting those dots, you're not listening to what the speaker is saying. Same exercise, different number of dots, go. Now that takes people on the average less than a second. There were 6 dots on that page. We can see 6. 7 or more, we have to count. So 6 is the magic number when it comes to number of objects on a slide. What do we do if we have 7? Yeah, we make another slide. The number of slides, if we have enough time, has never been the problem. It's the number of objects that we have on each slide that's the problem. That's it. Those are the 4 pointers. If you can incorporate some of those into your next presentation, into your next story, then you will be a little bit better at avoiding death by PowerPoint. Stay humble, hustle hard.